All right. And three, two, one. We are live. Boom.
Charlie Mac,
Mooneytucker.
what it
Welcome.
is,
What it is, what it is.
my brother. Let me get my volume up here.
All right, all right. So
There we go. How's
we
it
are
going, guys?
we are live. We are live. Thank you all for tuning in. Got a little itch under the eyeglass. Sorry about that. Thank you all for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the crazy YouTube things that you kids do these days in the 21st, 22nd. Who knows what century it is anymore? This COVID stuff's got us going crazy. We got a couple of people coming in. Hello,
Crazy,
everybody.
crazy times, crazy times.
Definitely indeed. So, once again, folks, my name's Charlie Mack. Got a great co host today. Mr. Mooneytucker. Tell you a little bit about me from Brooklyn, New York. I'm on all the cool social media sites. Instagram, you can catch me, Charlie Mac NYC BKLYN. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And I'll talk a little bit about this video in particular. And
Charlie,
the
you're
reason,
frozen. Does that matter? You're frozen right now to me.
no, it'll work its way through.
Okay.
It's all
Okay.
good. Gonna talk about Morgans today. So I'm going to show some Morgans that are slabbed, got some books, talk a little bit about Morgan dollars. Reason that put this video together so people can understand the value in some of the coins. We'll talk a little bit about the numismatic history, talk about the silver portion of it. And I got a little video that we'll play. We'll talk a little bit about Morgans 1878 through 1921, and then again this year, 2021. We'll talk a little bit about the Bland Act. Why did they start making these Morgan dollars?
Excellent.
Well,
Excellent.
this I found out to be a really good topic, and I got a little confused between this and the Pittman Act, but it was the Bland Allison Act that made silver legal tender alive and well in 1878, which required the Treasury to purchase a certain amount of silver and get to work, start minting 2 million silver dollars per month. We're not going to get too much into the number, the mintages, but we'll talk
No,
about
no.
key
Brief
dates later.
history. Yeah. Brief
Brief
history.
history. We don't want to keep you here for 5 or 6 hours because it's a long history of the Morgan dollars. And then in
This is like a short synopsis of it, guys. It's pretty cool.
1921, the Morgan dollar was replaced with the peace dollar, which is a beautiful coin, but we'll talk about why Morgan dollars are sought after and who created it. The Morgan dollar was created by George T. Morgan, and they got the reverse, the eagle clasping arrows to the olive branch. Very important. You got to know what you have as well. What's real, what's fake. So there's a couple of ways to detect that. The size, the diameter. So the diameter of it, 38.
Obverse, reverse. That's what they got to get used to.
The obverse
The
and the
face of the
reverse.
Morgan dollar is the obverse. The eagle side is called the reverse.
And the thickness of it as well, right? Mooney's going to show us a fake, a really good fake. So knowing the diameter, the thickness, and the weight. And I always thought I was actually off on the weight. The weight for a Morgan, it should normally weigh about 26 to 27 grams. Obviously, if there's wear and tear, it might be a little bit less.
Correct.
Morgan dollars also got the nickname cartwheels. And why are they named cartwheels, Mooney?
Not sure. Tell me, Mac.
Well, the size and the weight, and also kind of when
No
you
I'm
spin
kidding.
them,
They look
got
like
that
a
cartwheel.
cartwheel.
Look
That
like
is
cartwheel.
correct.
Simple stuff, folks. We're gonna give you simple, easy to digest information today. Um, Key dates. These are just some of the major key dates. There are more, but these are the ones that have less of a mintage,
So
much
many
harder to
more.
find.
Yes, there's a lot of key dates.
We'll talk about where they minted. Mooney, do you know the mints, where they're all minted from?
You have Philly, Denver, New Orleans, Carson City, and San Francisco. They're
You
your
get the
main mints.
you get the bonus prize, man. You're gonna be on Jeopardy.
Bang.
You got them all.
Carson
Um,
City being my favorite, by the way. But
Now Carson City is the
all of our
harder one,
favorites. Yeah.
hardest one to get, and I know that you've got a couple.
Yes, I
Um,
do.
So, folks, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Um, if they're
Why
good
don't we run the
questions.
video and give them a little history?
So, folks, we got a quick, couple minute video for everybody to watch, just a brief history of some of the major events of the Morgan dollars. One of the reasons I started collecting them, I just thought they were cool. I always thought of them as cowboy coins, but the Morgan dollars have probably seen more history than all of us put together. So let's watch this video real quick and we'll get into it.
Awesome. Good job.
Morgan dollars are big, bold coins from America's past. These silver cartwheels were issued during the Wild West days of our nation's expansion. And through the dawn of the 20th century, when amazing new machines like automobiles and airplanes were changing the world forever. The Morgan silver dollar debuted in 1878 and became the favored coin of the old American West, sought after by desperate bank robbers, train robbers, and for daily commerce. Even Billy the Kid made a name for himself. Here we have a photo of Thomas Edison in his lab with the first practical incandescent light bulb in 1879. After defeating General Custer and the 7th Cavalry at the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, Sitting Bull and his followers relocated to Canada until 1881, when famine forced him to surrender to U.S. authorities. Outlaw Jesse James was shot and killed in 1882. The Statue of Liberty, a gift from the people of France, honoring the principles of freedom and democracy expounded by the American Revolution, was dedicated on October 28, 1886.
Wow.
An unfortunate massacre of about 300 men, women, and children took place at the Wounded Knee Creek on December 29, 1890. Before long, the Council of Indian Chiefs compiled with directives of General Nelson Miles and settled the Indian Wars, which happened in 1891. When Ellis Island Immigration Center opened in New York Bay on January 1st, 1892, 3 large ships were waiting to dock. Of about 700 immigrants to pass through the center of New York City that day, the first was Annie Moore, a 15-year-old girl from Cork, Ireland. Did you know Ellis Island Immigration Center processed over 12 million immigrants from its opening in 1892 until its closing in 1954? Inaugurated as the 25th President of the United States on March 4th, 1897, William McKinley maintained his solid support of the gold standard and would later sign into law the Gold Standard Act. The year 1903 was monumental in transportation history. Ford introduced its first automobile, the Model A. And the Wright brothers accomplished their first successful airplane flight at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Established in 1906 to serve the growing Rocky Mountain region, the Denver Mint struck D Mint mark Morgan silver dollars only in the final year of the series in 1921. Denver Mint is a historic Colorado landmark.
And that's the 2021, supposedly coming out this year. I think a bunch of us had a lot of fun with the website, and for me, I got into these because I just thought they were really cool coins. I always thought of them as cowboy coins. You obviously see them in the movies. all the cowboys and bad
Well, I
guys.
mean, as you
Obviously,
can see, they've been a part of our American history, you know, from
I
day
it's
one.
it took me 4 hours to put that video together, and as I'm going through some graded coins, I have an 1892 and an 1894 here. I just think to myself, wow, were these coming through Ellis Island? Do I have coins that have some type of history on them?
They could
Um,
have been in one of those gunslingers' pockets, or who the hell knows, Billy the Kid, or it's awesome.
imagine, imagine having something like that. So I thought the history is pretty cool. Billy Kid, paying a prostitute with a Morgan dollar. You never know. You could have
John
one of those.
Dillinger, John
John
Dillinger
Dillinger,
using them back in the day.
Jesse James paying, some cops off.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I got into it because of the history. And there's a couple of people where I got my Morgans from. Littleton is a good resource. I like them. Really, really good. Very easy to kind of fill out some of these books. So Whitman makes these Morgan dollar silver books. The nice thing is they're easy to put in there. As you see, I'm missing a bunch. So if
if
anyone,
if you want to upgrade, you go to the Dansko album too. Is another good one.
Dansko is probably the gold standard for the books. So
You
they're
know,
hard to get.
as far as Morgans for me, my father got me started. Um, I was probably about 12 years old. He loved the Morgan dollar. He loved coin collecting. When he passed 7 years ago, I was fortunate enough to inherit his entire collection too. But he got me started. He had me fall in love with that Morgan dollar, and I've been a big fan to this day.
And folks, if you don't know him already, I'm going to introduce him, right? Because we'll talk about where the designs came from. As a Philadelphia school teacher, her name was Anna Williams. She was the model for Lady Liberty, Pennsylvania's own Mooneytucker. Here he is,
She got her
folks.
start. She's got her start at Delilah's. No, just kidding. They
She
came in
started
and
it off.
recruited her, at the club, and the rest is history. Nah, just kidding. Now
So,
that's
folks,
a pretty neat
yeah.
story about her. She just had a beautiful look, and they liked her look, and they offered her the small penance to pose, and look
I
at her now.
I I was totally wrong. I always thought it was his wife.
No,
When I was doing research for this,
yeah,
Philadelphia school teacher. So a
yeah,
lot of history as well. So folks, if you don't know
yeah.
him by
That's
now,
pretty
Mooney
cool.
Tucker, make sure you're following him on Instagram. He's always got cool stuff. Mooney,
What's
a
up,
question
guys?
came in from Jim. Can you clean Morgan dollars?
You can attempt to. You can attempt to clean anything. There's a difference between cleaning and dipping. Dipping of a coin is not cleaning. Cleaning is being abrasive, scrubbing a coin, where it leaves marks, where under the microscope they can see the scratches or the failures on the coin. So any coin can be cleaned, Jim, yes, as you're probably well aware of. And it takes away from the value of the coin, too, by the way. Don't want to clean your coins, guys. Not recommended. Jim, I hope you don't partake in that, do you? Charlie, are you still with us? I think we lost Mac. Charlie Mac. Yo,
Can you
Mac,
hear me?
it's your
There we
show.
go.
There
There
you
we
go.
go.
Where'd you go, Mac?
My headset conked out for a second. There we go.
All right, there you are.
There
I
he is.
panicked. I'm like, where's our host? My
I was
God.
like, look, give it to Mooney Tucker. He knows everything about Morgan dollars. I'm out of here.
I was just asking for you, bro. Where's Charlie Mac? Now, but yeah, coin can be cleaned. I don't recommend it. Most people don't recommend it, I'm sure. It definitely devalues the piece. Try submitting it. Ask Charlie Mac. They will shoot you down
So
in
good
grading. Tell
story.
them that story, Mac.
My first Morgans were actually a nice gift from my mother, and I don't want to name the company, but basically it was a third-party website that sold Morgan dollars for a crazy amount, and they advertise them as brilliant uncirculated. Got a
Mm-hmm.
few of them. I was like, you know what? Let me just send them into grading. This will be fun. It's a birthday gift. Let me just see what the grades come back. I wasn't expecting, 70s or anything like that, but one came back as an MS63, good grade.
Okay,
Another,
common grade.
yeah, and that's in the realm of what I had figured. I was thinking maybe 60s. One of them comes back cleaned, no other status, just cleaned. And then the third one They did not grade. They did not even slap it. They just said could not grade, and they did not give it details. So
And
I
you
would
purchased them from a reputable company, or your
from a
mom
rep.
did?
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrible.
So, it was the first time, and it was my first grading submission as well. So I wanted to send in a couple of other things. I was like, you know what, let me just send these in for fun, to keepsake, something I'm not going to get rid of because it was a great gift from my mom. Be very careful with cleaning your coins and where you get your coins from, because a lot of times you may see them raw. You may not know all of the history about them. So you have to do your due diligence.
And apparently, there's a lot of tricks that these old timers know on how to enhance these coins, to make them PL, to make them.
Yeah.
But usually they don't pass the test when they're submitted. They get caught. You know.
I would recommend, just my opinion, if you're going to get Morgans, it's a good idea to maybe have something graded, something that has been reviewed. So Mooney, what are the grading companies that
Well, I
you'd
mean,
recommend?
there's a bunch of grading companies. I would say the top three would be your NGC. Give you an example of an
NGC.
NGC. Or PCGS is the other one.
I got
NGC,
NGC.
PCGS, Annex, which is one of my favorites. I like Annex. They're the top three. And then you have these smaller companies, like a lot of people probably never heard of SEGS,
Segs.
SEGS, which I love these holders actually. ICG is another. So there's a bunch of different grading companies, but I would say the top two are NGC and PCGS. I would say follow the distant third would be Annex.
Okay, I would
They're your
agree as
main
well.
companies.
Good question. A lot of people ask, are Morgan dollars a good investment? So if someone wanted to get into Morgans to collect as an investment, what would you think?
I mean, listen, you're buying money, but right now they're hot. They're on fire. And I'm not quite sure why. I think it's because of the new ones that are being made this year, coming out in November. But premiums for Morgans right now are off the chain. A Carson City that I was able to get 6 months ago for, let's say, $180 to $190 are now selling for $350 and
Wow.
up, graded. So I think it's a good investment right now. You make your money on the buy, though, guys. You don't want to overspend either.
So, it's going to give a good example here, and I know the book is kind of empty on this one. There are a lot of key dates as well that are very hard to get, where you're going to pay
Well,
a
you'll never
very,
get
very
them
high
in a
premium.
BU. You'll never get them in an uncirculated ever.
Yep. So I have a couple here that, they are graded. These are quality coins, NGC certified. Obviously, I'm not going to crack any of these out to put them in my book. I probably have picked up the majority for these books through the Cull Boys on Instagram. Give them a good shout out. Really, really good stuff. Raw. And when I
You can
first
put a
started,
nice you can put a nice album together. There's actually 2 albums in the collection. There's so many
Mhm.
different Morgans, but you can do it relatively inexpensive if you're not going for a uncirculated set or a better set. You
So
know,
I got about maybe 40% so far. Of the collection. The hardest ones, obviously, those Carson Cities. You're probably not going to find them raw laying around in a junk drawer.
it gets very pricey.
It gets very, very pricey. When you talk about the investment piece, and them being so popular. I remember a time, maybe 2 years, 2.5, maybe 3 years ago. I was buying one Morgan dollar for maybe 25 to $30 raw. Now I'm lucky if I can find one 70, $75. So, I'm out there doing my little searches with my magnifying glass, but hard to find.
Yeah, they're way up. Why are they so popular? I think because of the history of the coin. Just they've been with us so long. People love the Morgan dollar. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of the peace dollar too. A lot of people aren't, but I like our silver dollars.
Yeah. I think we took a lot of pride in what we put out then, especially, the short video doesn't do it justice, but you look at the history of what that coin has been through
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
those years. Like I said, I would love to be able to kind of track that
I
pedigree, like,
forget when it ended, but these coins used to be spit out of the slot machines in Las Vegas. Actually, they
really.
paid you in silver, And what you got was silver dollars, Morgans and peace dollars actually was spit out to you. I think up until the early 80s that was occurring. You
Oh,
know,
man, imagine that just going back home with a bucket of Morgan dollars. Another question. Are
Morgans
Morgans
are
90%?
90% silver. Good question, Jim. They are 90% silver. I'm not sure about the new ones. They might be made in triple nines now. I'm not sure.
I think the new ones are 999 for 2021.
They're going to be the higher silver content. Okay.
And as like, I don't consider that part of the set, but now it is, just in my mind.
Well,
But
it will be future collectors. It's going to
if
be.
if you're a collector now, you're gonna have to get the 2021.
You know, the must-have on those new ones is going to be the Carson City, just like
Hmm.
it is now. You know,
Right into that question, why are
lower
Carson cities?
minage, rarity, lower minage. You know, mainly the minage. How many produced that year? That dictates usually the value of that coin.
All those cowboys, running around stealing, straight from Carson City.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny actually. I got one of these in the wild, the 7 and the 8 tail feather. So it's a lot of
Well, you can
controversy.
show it. Do you have a coin to show that you could actually count the feathers?
Yeah, maybe a little bit harder here, but you'll see the 7 and the 8 tail feather side by 78. So I didn't really understand this at first. I thought it was just an error, but I was sadly mistaken. They changed it to make it more anatomically correct to an actual bird. I didn't know that. I thought it was an error. Like, I got a friggin' $1 million
No,
coin.
they
And
want to make it closer to reality. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
so I found that it was, when I first started collecting these things, I freaked out. I was asking everybody, and I think you were one of the guys too. Mooney,
And
do
if you
I
go
got
back,
something?
you
Can I
can
quit my
count.
job?
You go back, you can count the feathers. You can see where they added that feather.
Gambit is confirming the new 2021 is 999. Thank
Excellent,
you,
Gambit.
Gambit.
Excellent. So yeah, so the old 90%, the new 999, which is pretty cool.
Little show and tell time, folks. So Mooneytucker's
I
man
brought
of
a
the
few
hour.
examples out. You know, for example, the PCGS grading company, another one of our favorites. Early PCGS, they had what they called the Rattler. As you can tell, this thing is rattling all over the place. They're also known as crackers, where people will go in, including myself, and break these out to get them resubmitted for a higher grade, which a lot of times they grade higher. This one's a 63, but when I look at it, this is probably a good one to crack out. It would probably get a higher grade. Okay,
Now, is
this would
that
be
just because they do a bad job slabbing it, or is that just the way that they're made?
just the way to you would even know because it rattles. Yeah, it's just the holder, but I mean, a lot of them were
Just a holder.
undergraded back then for some reason, and
Ah,
people love to crack these out to resubmit to get better grades, and they normally come back a higher grade. You know, this one may actually be a candidate for that. That's the Rattler. You know, then there's your standard NGC. This one happens to be here's how to be good again. This is an MS67, which is a very high graded Morgan. The lighting's terrible here, but this is a
67. Yeah, that's
1880S in a 67.
definitely a couple
It's
hundred
very
bucks.
expensive coin. This is a $525 coin though, so you know it grades
Yeah, and,
high.
and people that collect these are collecting more for the numismatic value, not the silver content. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely for the numismatic value. There's one in a 66 and an older NGC variation of their holders. Like a newer one, you can see the difference in the holders. It's weird getting
I
used
see.
to
So
this
with
camera.
one, you can see with the reeded edges, and then the other one is a little more covered up.
Yeah, it's a
Nice.
little difference in them. And then of course they started coming out with all these trendy ones, you know, in multicolor and you know all the gimmick coins, you know. Then you
We
have the
buy the
annex,
coins,
like
not
the
the slab.
old school annex, the old blue labor annex, one of my favorites in the annex holder is
Very
these
cool.
old original blue These are pretty cool. I think Jim's a favorite of this too. Then it went to the traditional, the yellow. I like Annex personally. A lot of you guys don't. I do. PCGS, the old green holder.
Those are nice, yeah.
These are the original holders. After the Rattlers came this type. Okay. And then you have the traditional. Here's a nice example. Here's a 63 and a PL.
Ooh, pretty.
Oh yeah.
That is shiny.
This is the more traditional PCGS holder.
Amazing. That is crystal clean.
Oh yeah, it's amazing that you can find coins to this day that are like that pass the test of time. You know what I mean? That are grading high and they're mirrors.
I mean,
it's hard to believe.
With a coin like that, first of all, being out in the Wild West, who would even think of people hoarding them and hiding them away? I'd love to know when they get those graded.
Well, apparently they keep finding bags and bags every year somewhere. Someone had a few bags stashed somewhere,
Then you have a couple of guys that hoard them, right? And you have some knowledge on the Binion Horde, right? You have one or two of those Binion Horde
yeah. Then there was the Binion Horde. This man was a huge hoarder of silver. Ted Billion out of Las Vegas. These are very collectible. People love the Binion Horde. There's
those are
long history of this guy, which it would take a long time to get into. But basically, he was owned a casino in Las Vegas when they were still using the silver dollars, and he was hoarding all the silver dollars, quarters, dimes, anything silver, 90%. And he actually was stashing it away. He wound up getting murdered. His wife wound up, long story, killing him for his.
They went after him, right?
For his silver, and then they actually got off. Amazingly, it was buried in tractor trailers in the desert. Tractor trailers full of his silver. There's a cool little magazine that goes around about the Binion Horde, which would tell you the whole story. But old Ted Binion was the man, and his dad got him started collecting silver. But he was a big silver collector. So these carry a premium. People love the Binion Horde. I do too myself. I like collecting these. But you can get the history of it's amazing. Well, you can get these in silver quarters, dimes in the Binion Horde label. After his passing, they came out with these. He was dead before, this came out after his death. They came out with these Binion Horde. NGC did. It's an NGC graded coin.
And then, like you said too, there are more and more hoards being found and discovered.
Every year, someone's finding bags in their attic, or it's pretty cool.
I read an article. I didn't have enough time to get it into that video, where they found over 400,000 silver dollars recently in someone's attic, in the old burlap sack.
Look at that New York hoard from a few years back. They found a New York hoard recently. That was thousands and thousands of Morgans,
so,
which is unbelievable.
You gotta first find the right place to hide that stuff, so no one comes to rob you.
Well, they got Ted. They took Ted out trying to get to his silver, and his lovely wife got to him.
Love to have been in those casinos when they were dropping the Morgan dollars out. One-armed bandits.
Someone should Google that. I think it ended in the early 80s. They were still spitting out those silver dollars. If I could be mistaken.
I know some of the machines are still for sale, but they're hard to get depending on what state you live in.
That spit out the silver, that spit out the coinage. It's all electronic now, and internet.
It's not as fun. Not as fun. You want the.
Guys, here's an old SEGS holder, which I really like, SEG holder. But this coin, I am sure and it's people like to crack these out too. This would probably grade higher. This one happens to be a Carson City in a 64, but it is, the lighting sucks, spectacular. So this SEGS holder is another one of my favorites. I just like the old offbeat grading companies too. Their grades are usually wrong or, off, let's say, and a lot of people like cracking them out. Me, I collect
a chance to get a higher grade?
Yeah, to try to pull a higher grade. Guys, anybody that has any of these and want to move them, definitely interested. I do collect the segs holders, just for the holder. Actually, I don't care what the coin looks like. I like the holders.
Just hold on. Oh, now we're all going to be on a hunt, folks.
Get
Make sure you take a look.
Yeah, guys, you'll probably start. I know Selfish Jim now. He's going to want to start collecting these, of course. So I'll start seeing these popping up in his hoard. But these are really
Selfish
cool. It's
Jim.
called segs.
Selfish Jim
Mid
says he remembered the
90s.
90s.
I thought it was
He
in
was
the
getting
80s,
silver
Jim.
coins.
It could be the 90s because I gambled where I got silver dollars out of the machines for sure. And I'm thinking it was early 80s, but it could be early 90s. I've
That
been
would be
going
something
to
to get.
Vegas since 82, probably 1980. I'm thinking. I've been going to Vegas a long, long
Did
time.
they ever drop them out of Atlantic City?
No.
No,
Atlantic
just
City
Vegas.
was came in. Oh wait, did they? They might have in the beginning. It opened in '78, the first casino in Atlantic City. Charlie, they could have. I don't remember. I worked resorts and surveillance security in '78. It was no, they
That'd
were
be something.
tokens. They were silver. They
Tokens.
were tokens. Yeah, they weren't silver either. They were clad coins that they made. Now there was no silver there.
We
in
may have to go.
78.
There might be a silver hoard somewhere in Atlantic City under some guy's hotel room
Nah,
now.
they were all clad, man. They were clad like it'd say Sands Casino or it would say, resorts
Tropicana
or whatever one, the old
resorts.
school Playboy. There's an old casino then. But yeah,
One of the
no,
questions that
Vegas.
came up: how do you find the mint mark? So I'm gonna try and show you through here. It's on the
Yeah.
reverse. It's on the
Reverse of the
reverse.
coin, below the wreath, dead center of the coin. Above in between the D and the O, usually,
Yep,
on the
right at the
reverse of the
bottom.
coin. It's like right here on it. Oh, this coin's sweet, dude. This might be a cracker. Oh, sorry. It's hard to this camera. It's the lighting sucks, Charlie. I don't know if you can show them better. It's right here in between the D and the O.
So
Can
right,
you make
yeah,
that
right in
out,
the bottom.
guys? But it is
So this one's an S.
it is on the reverse of the coin, guys. The reverse of the coin. Eagle side, dead center, below the wreath.
Yep. So
You'll see the various mint. If it doesn't have a mint mark, that means it was Philadelphia minted. All your other mints will bear a mint mark. Philly, there is no mint mark. However, in the new ones coming out, it is going to have the P for Philadelphia on the 2021 Morgans being released.
and if you happen to find a CC, you're in good shape.
Oh,
As a
yeah.
Carson City.
Oh, and that's going to be the most popular of the new ones too. Of course, is the Carson City. People are going to be. They allowed 10 per household when they were issued, and then it was such a craze to get them, they cut back on all the future ones down to 5 per household. But whoever got in, I was fortunate enough to get in on that Carson City run. Everybody was going for them, and I'm sure a lot of these big companies got them, the majority of them,
Sure.
whatever
Absolutely.
deal the U.S. Mint makes with Paradise Mint or JM Bowling or whoever,
Now I know you've traveled, a lot. Have you ever hit any of those mints?
I've been to Philly. I've been to the San Francisco Mint. They're the only two I've ever been, seen, and went into. And I would love to see the old Denver Mint, which is now open again, I believe.
Mhm.
And of course, Carson City. I've been to Vegas so many times, I just never took that tour. But you can actually do the tour of these, of these mints.
That would be
A lot
fun.
of history, that would be fun. Have
Very
you,
cool.
Charlie, ever been to any?
Not as I think I was at Philly probably when I was a younger
Well,
kid.
that's the
I don't
original.
remember it.
That's the first mint ever out of all of them. Philly's the
Mhm.
original mint for our money for the U.S. Treasury.
I think I was there as a young kid because I remember the Liberty
Probably did a
Bell. I remember
school.
going to the
Probably
Mint.
did a school trip there. A lot of kids did. It's massive.
Mhm.
It's freaking awesome. They got
I
a
remember
great
being
gift shop too now. You can buy
a
everything
long
right
day,
there.
and at the end, the gift shop. But you didn't appreciate it as a kid.
Back
Going
then,
back
no.
through the history, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
But now it's
you know-
like candy and kids in a candy store. They dump you right. Of course, when you're done your tour, they dump you like in Vegas right into the gift shop.
Here's the gift
So you
shop.
don't have
Spend
you don't have
$60.
a choice but to look and see what they're selling.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Just
the
wanna
Mint
go
has been
in there
coming
in
out
the
with
Mint.
some pretty cool stuff. So lately, but as
Yeah.
you know, It's a hard to get into the mint. Their website's terrible. When you're trying to get anything they come out new with, it's a fight and a battle, and half the
I've
time you
seen
can't get their stuff.
a handful of pictures probably this week of people that ordered, some Eagles and some other things. Like, just the quality
The
control is not
shipping's
there.
horrible. They're getting tossed around. They just don't care, man. It's terrible. And you're paying top dollar, from the U.S. Mint.
Yeah. Um, Rapid fire time, Mooney. At the end of my sessions, I always like to do some fun rapid fire questions. So this is the interactive part. I'm just gonna rattle off a whole bunch of fun questions so the community gets to know each other, have a little fun. So I'm
Let's
gonna ask
do
you
it.
a whole bunch of questions. You just tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
I'll
What
have
is
to
a
look
better
then.
what is a better snack? A bowl of ice cream or frozen ice?
Bowl of ice cream, man. Come on.
Okay. I thought you were your Ritas.
Oh
Ah,
no, I like my mango. Hold on. I like
yes.
Luigi's water ice. That would be my
Water ice.
favorite.
Okay. All right. So
Luigi's.
I know you're a man of many talents, but we're going to give you a new career, a new chance to start life over. You get a new career. Do you want to own a circus or own a theme park?
Probably a circus. I love animals. I like to deal with
You-
beasts in my I'd like animals. I'd say a
um,
circus.
cool. Better vacation, going camping outside or a day at the beach?
Camping. As the father of an Eagle Scout, I camped for 15 years with him going through scouting. Loved it.
That's right.
Camping
Yeah,
all day
Brendan's
long.
an
Brendan's an
outdoors.
Eagle Scout. Yep.
That's right. Better looking piece of art, Mona Lisa or the Statue of Liberty?
I'd bang them both, but I would probably say Lady Liberty.
Yeah, you got it. She's taking you,
Mona's kind of homely.
yeah, it's a one and
But
done.
Mac, you know me, I wouldn't kick her out. You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
And it's funny, as this question lines up right to you, my friend. Would you rather be funny or charming? I mean, you're both.
Charming, but a mixture of both. But charm goes a long way.
What's more gross? I always ask, some oddball ones. All right, bathing in sour milk or taking a shower in nacho cheese?
I'll take the milk bath. It's good for your skin.
Yeah, it's sour milk though. I don't know. Better from under.
I'm eating that from under cheese, so.
You have a lot of knowledge, and I appreciate you jumping in on the video today. But if you had the opportunity to go back and give yourself some advice, you run into Mooneytucker at the age of 21. What are you telling him? I know that's
Your
a pretty tough
credit,
question.
your credit follows you your entire life. Go back and focus on your credit, making sure you keep a clean credit record for future purchases, future investments. Believe it or not, your credit score is very important. So I would advise work on your credit.
Yeah,
And start
that's
investing
so
early,
true.
man.
So true.
Open an IRA. I opened an IRA when I was 18. There's a lot of money in my IRA right now because I did that.
I got in the game late, and I'm so glad I met this guy who I worked with. We actually worked together, and he started telling me about Share Builder, buying some stocks. I'm like, he's like, listen, you waste $20 on lunch every day. Take that $20, throw it into some stocks, and then take another $20 and throw it into an IRA.
Yep.
I wish I would have done that at 18 or 21.
I started probably
difference.
about 21 because I've always been self-employed my entire life.
Mhm.
People have always worked for me. I've never worked for anybody. Actually, I worked with my father for 15 years as a State Farm agent. But other than that, so I always had to self-invest. I don't have a normal pension. I had to do it all myself. So I've done all my own investing. That's why my credit was so important to me growing up. But
I got out of the military, and the first thing they gave you a credit card. I was 20 or 21 at that time. They gave me a $25,000 limit for a soldier who just got out of the military. You can
That's
only
crazy.
imagine the types of things that I did with that. There's probably a lot of pictures out there if you find them too. But you can't treat those cards like credit
my first
cards.
Discover card was 1980.
Wow. Holy hell.
1980. Oh, Amex. Hold on, Amex is even better. And I got my first Amex card in 1980. So I started my credit history in 1980. And in 1980, I was in college. I was a sophomore or junior in college in 1980. So listen, your credit history is important, guys. Establish your credit. But anyway, yeah, I
Yeah.
started my credit in about 1980.
It's funny because I would give very similar advice too. Maintain your credit. Don't go into debt if you don't have to, and invest.
And use cash when you can. But it's good to
Okay.
use your card and always pay it off. Try to pay it off what you spend on it, or at
Mhm.
least pay that minimum so you're not screwing your credit up. You know what I mean? They're,
Um,
they serve a purpose, credit cards for sure, but you actually have to learn how to manage them. You
yep.
know, young kids at 18. I know a lot of kids get 100,000 in debt because they got that credit card in 18 and went hog wild. So
Yeah.
you got
And
to
that's
be
not even
careful, man.
school. That's just the credit card.
No,
That's not even
that's
school.
outside of school. Forget school. It's separate from school. I always drilled it into Brendan's mind, and he's very conscious of his credit score. He's in the almost 850 credit score at 25 years old. 850 being perfect. He's up there, you know what I mean? Because he always watches his credit.
So, the last question I have, and this is one of the ones that I've started to ask a lot of people on these interviews, and if you had the chance, who would you like to meet and chat with, dead or alive?
Oh God.
This is one that I
Ronald
just
Reagan. Reagan would be one of my choices to meet a former president. I was a fan of Reagan. John F. Kennedy would be another choice. I would have loved. In fact, my mom knew him and worked for Kennedy. Long story, but
Oh
mom
wow.
was a big politician back in the day. But Ronald Reagan would be one of my choices, I think, if I could meet old Ron before he lost his mind like Joe. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. You get the chance to, especially now. I mean, you have technology. You can reach out to thousands of people in one
See,
shot.
I met all the stars. They all come to my club. I met every actor you can imagine that's been in, and this is no lie, that filmed in Philly. They all came through our business. So I met all those. But to meet a president is just mind boggling, you know?
It's a different kind of knowledge. Like a celebrity, like what are you really famous for? Being you. What did you do?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, definitely. A sitting president would be
But to
something
sit
on
with
my
somebody
list.
like that, or an actor, if you're going to pick an actor old school, like a Clint Eastwood, or, you know, I mean, somebody with knowledge that's been there. Like young, not these young punks. I'm talking about the old school guys, you know?
It's funny. I was just watching Gran Torino. Made me think of you. Get
That's
off my
right.
lawn.
Get off my lawn. Great movie.
Great
And
flick.
he's still kicking it. Dude, he's 88 or 80, and he's in his late 80s. I know that.
He's 90,
Oh, he
and
just
he
turned
just
90. You're right. He had a
just put out
birthday. I saw that.
just
He
put
was
out
singing
another
in a
movie.
tavern. He was singing in a corner bar with his buddies. I
Yep.
saw that. Yeah. I mean,
Folks,
who would you
let's.
want to meet, Mac?
I would probably say Ronald Reagan is someone because he lived on both sides. He's an actor, politician,
Yeah.
so he's
Did
got a
it
lot of
all.
knowledge. I Jay-Z would be someone else I'd like to meet. You pick these people's brain. You don't meet them just to get money, but you
I
see
met him.
how you
I
maintain it.
met him. I met him at my club. Nice guy. We didn't talk
Uh,
business, of course, just a
yeah,
handshake. But yeah, nice guy.
those are the people that you take advantage of. Those are the people that build you up, right? Like, oh, I want to meet, this person because they're a celebrity. Who cares? At the end of the day, what do they really do for you? You meet a president, you meet someone like that. They're gonna give you knowledge that's just gonna last you
And,
for
and
years.
and guys, you're never too young or old to learn. You know, to this day, I'm always learning something new. You know, and it's true.
Yeah,
I put
it's
aside the
funny.
ego and all that shit. You can always learn. Listen to the elderly, man. There's a lot. I love talking to old people, and I don't consider myself old. I am older, but I love talking to old people and picking their brain and because everybody has a story. Everybody has a story,
You
which
learn.
is
You learn from
amazing.
people.
Be it good or bad.
I learned too. You have to be patient with people because everybody's lived a different life, different vibes for different lives is what I like to say. But you got to be patient with people. Everyone's got
Yeah,
a story. Someone could have a lot of knowledge, but when you speak to someone older and they tell you about their life, a lot of them are reliving their good days, and they,
I believe me. I have those moments. I have. You guys know I have a long history. I have some funny stories too. But you know, I've always respected the elderly. And everybody has a story, and I've always enjoyed. Like I used to sit with my grandma before she passed for hours, just her telling me the old story, coming from Lithuania and the coal mines of, up in the mountains of PA, and just crazy stuff. So, you can always learn from the elderly. Be respectful, give back, be charitable. Be a good human, man. That's my advice. We're off the Morgan track, but be a good human.
Right.
You know,
live a good life.
give
be
back,
proud,
man.
give back. Absolutely.
Like we're doing now in our community for Josh. A penny short. Going through a tragedy. Of unbelievable. Yeah. Can't even conceive going through that kind of crap. But we're all going to come together, and we're going to try to take care of them.
I took it out of here because, like I said, I spoke to him a week ago. We were lined up. I asked him, "Hey, Josh, would you be interested in doing something like this?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "All right, cool. What do you like?" His things. He loves pennies, so we had something planned. We'll do some pennies. So I really wish him well, his fiance, his girlfriend.
Hopefully he'll still be able to do that. I spoke to him today. He's been updating me daily, and she survived the brain surgery.
Thank goodness.
She's getting her memory back. She's doing better. The battle now is the stage 4 bladder cancer. That is what caused this brain cancer that spread. They weren't aware of it. They were already dealing with the bladder issue, but they never, I guess, thought to check if it spread anywhere and hear it until she started having those seizures, grand mal seizures. He found her, floundering next to him. That's what started all this. But great kid, sad story.
We are going to wish him well.
Spread the love the Brooklyn way.
We're going to spread love. So, folks, thank you all for tuning in. Those who are live, we appreciate it. Thank you for all of the questions. If you have any, those who are watching later and you're watching this, you can drop your questions in the comment. We will definitely get back to you talking about Morgan dollars, the history, everything that you need to know about Morgans. Once again, I'm Charlie Mack. That is Mr. Mooneytucker. You can find him on Instagram. He's always got cool deals. He's got things up for sales, buy, sell, trade. He's got a lot. Also, there's a lot of history, so make sure you're following him. Once again,
good time, Mac. Yeah,
share,
thanks for having
subscribe. Me. Thank you.
We all love Charlie Mack. They all love Charlie Mack, man. Keep it up, brother. Good job.
Thank you. Take care, folks.
It was fun.
Happy Sunday. It was fun.